Okay, now we're doing quotes again from the book Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, P. Rogers. We're doing Amadeus Mozart. He lived from 1756 to 1791. There's a good YouTube channel called Inside the Score where they make some videos talking about Mozart. And they said, well, what made him so great? You know, he had to have a lot of natural talent, but his father being a musician training from when he was born, a lot of people become really great if they have a good parent coach. Like look at the Polgar sisters, those two females that became grandmasters at chess. So having that early onset start gives you a big advantage by a talented father who knows, starting young, being really motivated and a hard worker. And, you know, you got to love it. And he loved being a composer. So he started out, of course, being a prodigy. A prodigy is somebody who learns faster than everybody else. A genius is more than that, though. There's lots of people who are prodigies. They never do anything. A genius is somebody who takes the field and transforms it in a good way. And so geniuses are rare, and Mozart was clearly a genius. Here's Jacques Barzun, the French historian. He says, Mozart's music was often rococo. French guy's jealous of the Austrian German, he says. His favorite music to compose was opera. He loved opera. He wanted to show that the Germans could outdo the Italians at opera. Okay, Beethoven's quote about Mozart. He says, I have always reckoned myself among the greatest admirers of Mozart. Beethoven actually said Handel was the greatest composer. He said, Handel's the only one that is above me. But then, of course, he loved Bach. Bach's name means like a brook of water. He said it should be ocean. You know, and of course, these guys are the greatest of all time. All right, every Mozart has a Salieri. So I strongly recommend you watch that movie. It's called, Amadeus. It's a masterpiece. Salieri was perfect. Mozart was perfect in the movie. It's the all-time greatest inspiration to creativity movie I've ever seen. And I've known some geniuses in my life besides being one myself. And I can tell you that is the mindset. It is absolutely correct, the way Mozart behaved and thought. Okay. Mozart quote, true genius is more than lofty intelligence and imagination. Love, love, love. That is the soul of genius. You have to love the thing you're doing in order to be a maniac about it. You know, a regular person complains if they work 40 hours a week. A genius, you're going to be working 80-hour weeks or more. So you have to really like it. Think, this is it. This is life. This is the most important thing I could possibly do. Okay, another quote by Mozart. Whoever is the most impertinent has the best chance. Yeah, because reality always tries to smack you down. There's always some mediocre jerk a-hole who's like, no, you must do it the regular way. You must do it the regular way. And then when you try to do something different because you know it's better, they smack you and attack you and block you and hate you. That's what it's like to make something better, is to be hated. Let's see. I am happiest when I have something to compose. Okay, here's a couple religious quotes of Mozart. You know, most of these great ones are real religious. He says, I know myself, and I have such a sense of religion that I shall never do anything that I would not do before the whole world. But I am alarmed at the very thoughts of being in the society of people during my journey, whose mode of thinking is entirely different from mine, and that of all good people. But of course they must do as they please. I have no heart to travel with them, nor could I enjoy one pleasant hour, nor know what to talk about with them. For in short, I have no great confidence in them. Friends who have no religion cannot long be our friends. Okay? Yeah, you're going to see one of the reasons, if you want to be a real creative person, you're going to want to become a Christian. Okay? It just generates creativity. Don't take my word for it. Study the history of creativity. It's rather obvious. Okay, and then he hated Voltaire because Voltaire was sort of, a lot of his adult life, Voltaire was a very aggressive atheist and very destructive. Voltaire is part of the group of the philosophes like Diderot and Rousseau, who basically destroyed France and led to the French Rev 1789 to 1794, a disaster, an atheistic destruction of France. Okay, so anyways, here's Mozart quote on Voltaire. I must give you some information that perhaps you already know, namely that ungodly arch-villain Voltaire has died like a miserable dog, just like a brute. That is his reward. So, and despite Voltaire's skepticism and harsh criticisms of Christianity, he himself had been educated by the Jesuits. He's not very grateful to them. And also, during his dying days, he sought last rites from the Catholic priest, before he died. And, Voltaire has a lot of quotes. He says, I want my doctor and my tailor to believe in God so they do not rob me. He also said, I'm an atheist one time, but I want my valet to believe in God so he does not steal my spoons. He also said, if we did not have a God, we would have to invent him. Okay, so All right, getting back to Mozart. Next Mozart quote. The artist must yield himself to his own inspiration. If he has a true talent, then no one knows and feels better than he what suits him. Yeah, Beethoven made a similar quote. He said, a true artist is somebody who trusts himself. You know what's right. You like feedback, you like to read, you like to study, you like to hear what other people have to say. But in your gut, then, you know what is the right thing to do. Sort of like people say to me, why do I, like, I'll tell you a typical thing I run into, a conversation. I'm talking to a couple male doctor friends, and they're like, so Pete, are you making any money with all this stuff you're doing? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well then, is it helping you to get laid? And at the time I said, no. And they're like, well then why do you do it? What the fuck is wrong with you? And so it actually, I think, did indirectly help me to get laid, in the sense that it's like I noticed, like, women that didn't used to pay attention to me paid attention to me. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, getting back to this thing here. Mozart. A fellow of mediocre talent will remain a mediocrity whether or not he travels. But one of superior talent, which without impiety I cannot deny that I possess, will go to seed if he always remains in the same place. Yeah, they didn't have the internet in those days. To get a little stimulation and talk to new people, you had to travel a bit. Mozart. I pay no attention to what anyone says, but simply follow my own thoughts and my own feelings. Yeah, well, that makes sense. If you're the best judge of music in the world, you can potentially learn from other people, but in the end, your own opinion matters more than theirs, okay? And that's actually one thing I would say about myself with medicine. I've been to all these places, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, Stanford and stuff, and courses at all these other places. I know that these guys are all the same. It's extremely rare to meet anybody in conventional medicine that's done any reading outside of conventional medicine. And the ones who've done that extra reading, they're the ones that are most interesting, because they can add it to conventional. Conventional medicine has a good framework of knowledge, but you have to go elsewhere if you're going to find deeper truths. And that's why a lot of these guys are AOAs, first in the class and all this stuff, but they never do anything interesting their whole career because they never get outside of conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is already a paved road. You got to make a new road through the forest to do something new and interesting. Okay, Mozart. Music is my life. Okay, he wasn't trying to be well-rounded. He was just trying to be a great composer. Mozart. It is when I am alone and of good cheer that the ideas flow best and most abundantly. I am happiest when I have something to compose. I immerse myself in music. I think about it all day long. Okay, that's characteristic. People err who think my art comes easy to me. I can assure you, dear friend, no one has devoted as much time and thought to composition as I. I have studied diligently the works of all the famous composers many times.